Very clear that the war against Iran was totally unnecessary. It is a war of choice by the United States of America, and they do not seem to have learned any lessons from their previous military interventions in the region, whether in Iraq or in Libya or in Syria. The Americans have the capacity to destroy, but they haven't shown that they have the capacity to build. And that's where the problem are. They still are the most powerful country in the world, but they are not shown the capacity to use that power to build a better world for all of us. And we've seen that over the years. Now we've got a reprieve of 2 weeks in the ongoing war on Iran. We will keep our fingers crossed. It is clear that Iran has shown a tremendous resistance, and it is generally believed that if Iran were to survive this, the victory is theirs. And it would seem that they are on the course to that victory. But Trump is very unpredictable. You cannot say in advance what he will do. To my mind, the gaps in the position of the two sides are wide apart. If Iran has rejected the 15-point proposal that the United States made, it's not very clear whether Trump can accept the 10-point proposal that Iran has proposed, because many of those points in the proposal would mean actually a humiliating defeat for Trump. So let's see where it goes. India desperately wants this war to be over, because we have very major interests in the region with Iran, with the Gulf states. And of course, since we are dependent on energy to the extent of 85-88%, and we have 1.4 billion people. And this is an area which produces a greater part of the global energy. Instability there, it will be very costly for countries like India. So therefore, we hope that Iran and the United States are able to reach some decision which will be in the interest of the global community as a whole. Now, in terms of the political transformations that are taking place, and the question that has been posed to the panel is how are the goals and strategies of different countries changing in politics, economic, and culture. I think in all these areas, we have now to reconcile ourselves to deal with the fragmented world. We therefore have to develop hedging strategies. For the bigger countries, the strategy has to be to develop self-sufficiency as much as possible in critical areas, including what are called resilient supply chains and reducing dependence on critical raw materials and technologies from external sources. There is this tremendous challenge that artificial intelligence is going to pose to all countries. The United States and China are in the lead with regard to development of artificial intelligence. Others have to catch up, because artificial intelligence is going to rule our lives in ways in which we can't imagine. And therefore, for countries like India, it's extremely important that we develop this technology independently on our own. For most of the countries of the world, it is very important that there should be a reform of the United Nations system, the UN, the international financial and political institutions, and then the whole issue of promotion of multipolarity. That is the only answer that the global south or the majority of the countries have to what we have seen as the traditional Western dominance of the globe since 1945. In terms of civilizational values, it's very, very important that countries which are old, large civilizations make the legacy of their civilizations as part increasingly of how countries relate to each other, people relate to each other, and how the international system is increasingly infused with those kind of civilizational values rather than what we have seen is the traditional Western domination, the colonialism, and all the legacy of that, which was reflected, let's say, in the G7, for instance, which was supposed to be once again a consolidation of the power of the West, so that they could make the global system responsive to their needs and to their ambitions. The G20 was an exercise to broaden the base of global governance and include also the major economic powers. It was a cooperative kind of a body that was established, but now you can see that the G20 has lost all meaning. The United States is going to be the chair of the G20, and given Trump's attitude to institutions, to global bodies, including the UN, I think the G20 is now something that we can write off as an effective organization. But then, what are the options? Now, multipolarity certainly is an option, but I have a few questions with regard to multipolarity. Because if we take it literally, what multipolarity means is that you're going to have, again, countries which are powerful poles around which other countries are gathered. In other words, if we take multipolarity in the literal sense, it really means that you have specific powerful countries which then are able to develop a system of global governance which meets their particular needs. Now, I think, to my mind, multipolarity has to be a cooperative venture rather than a confrontational venture. Otherwise, we will again be developing a fragmented world, which is what we don't want. India does not aspire to be a pole, but we want to reform the global system in which we feel that we should be able to play an enhanced role, and we also want to be able to put on the global table the concerns and the aspirations of the global South in general. So I think we have to see how, let's say, BRICS can collectively become a pole rather than individual countries within BRICS aspiring to be a pole. I think the SCO is also a building block of multipolarity. And I repeat that we should not let multipolarity become a source of division in the global system. Now, with regard to some of the other issues that you have put on the table, which is, for example, the militarization of international politics, the meaning and content of contemporary military conflicts. Now, the fact is that the US is the strongest military power in the world. It has God knows how many bases, maybe 180 bases in 80 countries, which is a legacy of the Cold War. And the belief that the US feels that it is envied for its prosperity and it must protect US interests, and the only way to do so is to remove any challenge to its security wherever in the world. And NATO has been central to the security outlook, and the Ukraine conflict is intended to, as we know, disconnect Russia from Europe. If we go back to Brzezinski's thesis, there is the role of the military-industrial complex, which is relevant in this regard. Now, Europe seems to be moving in the same direction to develop an independent military capacity, reduce dependence on the US, and have more strategic autonomy. But it is determined to carry on its proxy war against Russia. I think European rearmament policy seen from the outside would make sense only in the perspective of a virtually permanent hostility towards Russia. If tomorrow Russia and Europe agree on a common shared security architecture, then one wonders what would be the direction and meaning of European rearmament. Now, Germany's ambition to have the strongest military in Europe, to my mind, can only have Russia in mind. But it will also be very disquieting for a country like France. The Iran conflict is essentially US settling scores with Iran since 1979, and Israel seeking to prevent Iran from going nuclear and wanting to weaken it durably because they see it as the only country outside US control in the region. And Iran's policy towards Israel has in fact kept the Palestinian issue alive. Now, I'll end with a few comments on what is the role of Russia and major civilization states in shaping just an equitable world order and a comprehensive system of collective security. For India, Russia is absolutely vital for a balanced world order. A weakening of Russia will create a big void in the global system, which will benefit the West, but which will also destabilize the balance in Asia. Civilizational states like Russia, India, China should ideally work together to counter the West's traditional hegemony and counter the entrenched inequalities and double standards in the present world so-called order. Now, with regard to collective security, we have a comprehensive system of collective security in the UN, for instance. But the UN needs to be reformed. I don't think that a new system can be created without the consent and participation also of the West. So there can be no system of collective security unless it is inclusive. For this, there has to be a major change of mindset in the West. Only then we will be able to have genuine collective security which serves the interests of all. Thank you.
Спасибо.